allow. You're welcome, sir. May you live forever. Thank you so much. You may please be seated. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the reason we are here today is to look at the way forward, how Africa can tap into what's happening in the world, how that we should not be left behind with the global ride and the global technology, how we should be able to compete with the rest of Europe, America, Asia, how we can say that we can never be the last. As we say in Nigeria, Deltas that they carry last, so Nigerians cannot be the last as well. Therefore, Africans cannot be the last as well. We have been challenged over the last 24 hours by what has happened here today. And today is a continuation of what is considered to be the next big thing in not just Nigeria, but the world at large, but starting from here, the city of Lagos, as we span through the rest of Africa. The convener of this vision and mission is somebody that I have known for, let's say, 2 decades. He has been quite consistent. He has been quite noble. He has been worthy of emulation. He has lived beyond expectation. He has performed beyond expectation. He has always wanted to do more. And we can begin to see that he started calling the shot of what we can consider not just the next big thing in Nigeria and Africa, but what's the next big thing now. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to please welcome the president of the Nigerian Association in the person of Engineer Abidemi Agwo for his welcome speech. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute pleasure, absolute delight. But before I go on to formally start my speech, I would like to acknowledge again the presence of Obagbola Lawal. Thank you very much, sir, for honoring this invitation. It's an absolute pleasure. We do not take this for granted. And I also acknowledge the representatives from the Ministry of Defense. We acknowledge your presence. Thank you very much. The representatives from the World Bank, representatives from the Federal Ministry of Works, representing the Honorable Minister, and everyone here unified in the desire to see Nigeria prosper and Nigeria become a place that will be habitable for every single one of us and the generations ahead. So I'm deeply honored today, as I alluded to, as I said initially, that the 4th Nigerian Tunneling and Underground Space Conference has commenced. Transformative power of tunneling and underground space use. Our conference theme, as highlighted here in the background, leveraging tunneling and underground space use for the rapid implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Why is this relevant and why is this important? The current continental rhetoric and drive and focus is centered towards creating an economic bloc in Africa. And as experts in the area of tunneling and underground space use, we deemed it relevant for us to align to this. Nigeria is a signatory and a major signatory to the AFTA. So this is a call. It calls upon us to examine how this technology can be a driving force behind the realization of a united and a prosperous Africa. My address this morning will be centered on 4 key elements. A continental vision, which is AFTA. The importance of multi-sectoral application in Nigeria. Nigeria's partnership with the International Tunneling and Underground Space Association, ITA. Nigeria's partnership Yeah, Nigeria's partnership with the International Tunneling and Underground Space Association, ITA, and Nigerian Tunneling Association's education, awareness, and capacity development strategic pillars. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement is a bold vision set forth by African Union. It seeks to create a single continental market for goods and services, fostering economic growth, job creation, poverty reduction across the continent. However, such an ambitious undertaking necessitates the development of robust infrastructure to facilitate the seamless movement of people, goods, and capital. In this context, the importance of tunneling and underground space cannot be overstated. They can provide transportation links between countries, between cities, and between regions, secure supply chains, and even serve as a hub for logistics and warehousing. Imagine the possibilities of subterranean networks that connect our nations, enabling the free flow of trade, while also addressing congestion and environmental concerns on the surface, something we are very much familiar with. The importance of multi-sectoral application in Nigeria, which is the second point that I'll be addressing this morning. Nigeria, with a diverse landscape and growing urban centers, offers a fertile ground for multi-sectoral application of tunneling and underground space technology. Consider the challenges of rapid urbanization that is currently staring us in our faces. As a matter of fact, Africa is the fastest rapid urbanizing continent, currently at about 45% urbanization and expected to be about 60% by 2050. Now, the implication of that is 60% of the population of the country will basically reside in key strategic cities in the country. When we look at water resource management and transportation congestion, these issues can effectively be addressed through an innovative introduction of underground space solutions. For instance, underground water storage and distribution systems can help us manage our precious water resources more efficiently. Tunnels can alleviate traffic bottlenecks in our cities, reducing commute times and improving quality of life of our citizens. In the energy sector, one of the key projects I've been managing and working on recently in Europe is the development of an underground cable system to house the entire electric cable distribution network of a city. Those are the innovative ideas and concepts we ought and we should be pushing to adopt on the continent. Contributing to more reliable and sustainable power grid, that is the impact of what this would bring. Now my third point, which is Nigeria's partnership with the International Tunneling and Underground Space Association. To accomplish these ambitious goals, we would at this point have to continue drawing upon the expertise and the knowledge of the international community. Nigeria is a bona fide member of the international community. Nigeria was adopted in Bergen in 2017 as the 74th member nation of the ITA. The ITA is a consultative status, has a consultative status with the United Nations. And what that means is the ITA is the lead when it comes to anything that has to do with underground space use globally. And Nigeria has a role at the General Assembly. The International Tunneling and Underground Space Association plays a pivotal role in connecting us with the global experts and best practices. Collaborations, shared research, and adoption of international standards and essentials are essential to our successes. Some of these we captured during our workshop yesterday, where we had exchange of knowledge and exchange of information. By engaging with the ITA, we can stay at the forefront of technological advancements in tunneling and underground space use. This partnership ensures that our projects meet global benchmark for quality, safety, and environmental sustainability. But most importantly, it gives us the opportunity to leverage on the mistakes that the advanced countries and even the developing countries that are way ahead the curve in tunneling and underground space have made. Nigerian Tunneling Association's education, awareness, and capacity development strategic goals. We formed this association in 2017, and since then we've made efforts and strides. The Tunneling Association, which is our national backbone for the promotion and advocation of tunneling and underground space use, deployed what is a 10-year strategic plan launched in 2017 when the association was formed several years ago. Of course, we've experienced a couple of highs and lows. We have made commendable strides in advocating the development of tunneling and underground space use. Its strategic pillars, as I mentioned, education, awareness, and capacity development have been demonstrated in all our activities. We've recently just completed the development or the mentoring of students across Nigeria. And we've also, in different ways, also collaborated with the National Assembly. As a matter of fact, in 2019, we led the process with the Senate Committee on Land Transport for the integration of tunneling into the Transport Act. Those are some of the strides that we have taken, and it basically puts us on a platform for us to leverage in terms of policy making moving forward. We have made commendable strides in advocating the development of tunneling and underground space use, as we mentioned. It's a strategic pillars of education and awareness development as would lay a strong foundation for this progress. However, it would also be a remiss not to acknowledge the challenges that we faced over the last 4 years, COVID being one of them. Fund constraint, resource limitations have tested the resilience of this association, to say the least. We must now collectively address these challenges to ensure that Nigerian Tunneling Association can continue its vital work in fostering knowledge, awareness, and capacity development in Nigeria. So, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I'd like to re-emphasize the importance of unity and collaboration in our journey towards leveraging underground space use for continental development. As it says, if you want to go fast, you go alone, and if you want to go far, you go together. It's a question that we need to answer. Do you want to go fast, or do you want to go far? Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a journey to not only go far, but to pave the way for a prosperous and interconnected Africa through AFTA, which is what we're leveraging on today. Let us seize this opportunity presented by tunneling and underground space use to build infrastructure that will drive our economic integration and propel us towards a brighter future. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to enlightening discussions and collaborations that will unfold during this extended conference. Together, we can shape the future of Africa's infrastructure for generations yet to come. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. Thank you so much.
The president said, can you please put those hands together for him, please? Worthy of note was when he mentioned, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. And that's why we are here today. From all walks of life, we are gathered here together because we want to go far. Not just fast, but far. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we would quickly indulgence to turn your attention to the multimedia as we watch a note from the president of ITA. Okay, the lights. Excuse me, please. Sorry, please, music, okay. Okay, give me some minutes. Let me just sort out some technical issues. I'd like to say we need to deal with some music while we wait for some technical matters to be sorted. Thank you.
say, but to soon come on.
Is this ready? While we wait to do that some other time, we will just move on with the next agenda, which will be to listen to a keynote speech on tunneling as an efficient and sustainable component for safe transportation options to achieve an effective intra and intercity rail network in Nigeria. To deliver this keynote speech will be the representing the Minister of Transportation, Nigeria, Senator Saidu Ahmed Alkali. Can we welcome him, please? Thank you. Okay. 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 He's not here. Okay, from the Ministry of Works, Senator Saidu. I know. Okay, please, I apologize. Just before that, we need to. Okay, so sorry, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. You would please pardon me as I need to please welcome Engineer Umar Bakare, Director Highways Development, here representing the Minister of Works, Nigeria, Engineer David Umai, as he gives a little speech. Thank you so much. Put his hands together for him. Thank you so much. He'll be speaking on the value addition through integration of tunneling as an option to achieve an effective intra and intercity network in Nigeria. Thank you so much, sir. You're welcome.
Good morning, our Royal Father, every other person here present. I'm here to represent the Honorable Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi. Though we have not come with any papers, but there is no doubt that the program we are all here to witness, the workshop, is a new area in Nigeria, generally in Africa, particularly in Nigeria. But there is no doubt that tunneling and use of underground space in a place like Nigeria is going to improve the way we live, and particularly for those of us who are involved with construction of highways and other transportation means, is going to be generally improved. If you want to take Lagos as an example, we have a lot of points within Lagos where we have serious traffic holdup. All this with the introduction of underground tunnels and rails going underground would definitely solve some of these problems. There's no doubt that we need to actually look into it, even though we haven't done much in the area of tunneling, as we are. My first time out of this country, when I went to the UK, there was a place I was taken to that I had to go from one section of London to another side. I think it was from Eastern London to the Southern London. I had to go through a tunnel on my foot, and by the time I was actually lectured on the time I had saved by going through the tunnel, which was only provided for pedestrians and cyclists, it shows that we actually could benefit a lot from this kind of innovations. We have a place like Idumota Marina, going to Ido, Apapa, Ijora, and all that. The only thing we do is to run through the bridges, and we don't have too many of them. And we have a lot of people. Lagos State, with a population of over 22 million people, will definitely need to have these kind of innovations and to think out of the box in solving our traffic and transportation issues. Thank you very much. I welcome you all to this workshop, and I believe that we're all going to benefit and gain a lot from this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can we put this hands together one time for him, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to please crave your indulgence to turn your attention to the multimedia, but please, if you don't mind, we'd like to kill off the lights so you
Good morning and welcome to day 2 of this fabulous conference here in Nigeria. Gives me enormous pleasure and a great deal of pride to welcome you to this gathering today, and this meeting of minds, this sharing of ideas, this exploring of the future of countries, the future of peoples, the future of a region. At ITA, we have a very special focus on the African continent generally and sub-Saharan Africa specifically. And let me explain. In the last few months, we've embarked upon and have actually begun a program that we call Engage Africa. And Engage Africa is a coordinated approach to making our expertise from all around the world available to those within Africa whom are decision makers, those within countries who have the power or the inclination to change the future, those people who do, those people who don't just talk. And we've made great progress already. Just weeks ago, I was in South Africa liaising with the member nation organisation there, which was SANCOT. We then coordinated a meeting of representatives from around sub-Saharan Africa, and subsequently, having agreed that yes, this was a strategy that was good for sub-Saharan Africa, yes, this was a strategy that's good for Africa, we embarked upon something even bigger. What ITA has done is it's gone out into the world and it is now coordinating cooperations, not just within ITA, but within the allied organisations, the sister organisations whom have expertise in the geo world, geotechnical, geophysical. And I can tell you this morning for the first time publicly, the range of nations that we are currently in the process of coordinating with for the Engage Africa mission. From South Africa, of course, whom I visited in person, as I say, very recently, to Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Zambia, Namibia, Ghana, Morocco, Mali, Egypt, Democratic Republic of Congo. That's just the beginning. So what began and what you are actually participating in within Nigeria is expanding to something even bigger, something even more strategic, something even more coordinated. And the role of ITA, certainly the role as I see it as president of the ITA, is to make us available to you. To make what knowledge we have available to you as you see fit. We're not, and we don't want to be, suggesting exactly what you do. It's a matter for you. We are available. We want to coordinate whatever it is you want from us. We want to engage so that the decisions you make with the resources you have are the best decisions for you. We want to assist you in accessing the resources that you might need to achieve a goal that you've set for yourself. This is the new face of ITA. This is what we are doing, and it's what we're doing now. And if I could have, I would have been there in person to explain this to you. We're currently going through an internal process so that we've got our resources available. This is a critical mission. We know what is happening in terms of urbanisation within Africa. We know the challenges that this is going to make. We know about the problems of clean water and health. We know about the problems of sewerage. We know about the difficulties of transport. These are things we know. But what we don't know is how, in what order, exactly in what expression you would like us to assist. So we're making ourselves available. We're making ourselves available to you. And the next tangible expression of what ITA is doing will be at Indaba. Indaba, actually a mining meeting. Here I am. I'm a tunnel guy. I'm a tunnel president. I am going to the miners. I'm saying to the miners, the game needs to change. That when you mine, you should consider what your legacy is going to be for the communities and countries you're mining in. Please consider alternative and other uses for the mined areas. Consider right from the beginning whether or not we can produce a power station, a pump storage, some other function, a stormwater diversion. Name what you want, but please consider your legacy, the intergenerational legacy of what you do. And I'm taking that message to the miners, and I've already begun the discussion with them, and they're listening. And they're listening because the world is changing. Because the decisions that are made which affect you and countries all around the world, our peoples, our planet, our countries, those decisions are made in boardrooms, often not within the country in question. And ITA understands that. And so we are going to take the underground solutions for the reuse, repurpose, intergenerational use of underground space. We are taking that to the boardroom. And we're bringing our expertise to you. I'm not sure how much more clear I can be about this. These are urgent matters. We're dealing with the futures of billions of people, and we're dealing with the environment, and an environment which is quite fragile at a time of climate change. I meet with the development banks. I meet with the international monetary funds, and they tell me that the burden of climate change falls inequitably upon your countries because your infrastructure is already fragile. So ITA is here to help. We're here to help make what resources you have go further. We're here to help with the transitions of your countries. My goodness, Nigeria, I'm sure you're aware of it. Everyone who's looking into the future knows the superpower which is emerging in Nigeria now. And I've worked with your men around the world and your women in delivering other countries' infrastructure. They are my friends, my colleagues. So I know what you're capable of. I have a hint of what the future is, and I give you my word as president of the ITA that we are here to help. We are here to engage. We are at your service, and I wish you well in your conference today, and I'll be seeing you soon. And I'll be helping to coordinate, not just within Nigeria, but amongst member nations who choose to coordinate with each other. We are here to assist you. We are here to engage. We're not here to tell you what to do. Enjoy your day. I'm a little jealous. I wish I was there. Godspeed, my friends. Thank you.
He said he wishes he was here. But he's not here. But you and I are here. We should enjoy the moment. Is that okay? Is that okay? Thank you so much. Can you put those hands together for him? The video you just watched was done by Professor Arnold Dix. He is the president of the ITA, International the man of the hour, an intellectual monarch with an outstanding track record as a public servant, having served in various capacities in 3 consecutive administrations before retiring to ascend the throne of his forebearers. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, he is a former three-time commissioner in Lagos State. That's the Ministry of Agriculture and Housing. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I can call him a leader of leaders, a mentor of mentors, a coach of coaches, a father of fathers. Can you please stand as we welcome His Royal Majesty, Toba Abdul Wasiu Omogbolaon Lawal, CON Abish Sogun II, the 15th Toniro of Yoruland. You're welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. Please sit down. The representative of the Honorable Minister of Works, Excellency David Umai, the President of the Nigeria Tunneling Association, our own brother, Engineer Abid Demigua, the representative of the Ministry of Defense, and the representative of the World Bank. Ministry of Works, Lagos State, I believe they're here. Well done. The chiefs of Iruland, and Engineer Epo, who I've had contact with a few months ago. To the core members here present, how are you? Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, this is one program that I'm very, very happy it's happening here in Lagos. This is the fourth of its kind in Nigeria, and I understand the last one we had in Lagos was 2017 precisely. But for COVID, the last one was 2019. So this program is one program that when I got the invite from Abidemi, that's the president, and he mentioned that he would want me to be here. I never give it a serious, I just believe, yes, I have to be here. You know why? I met Bidemi a few years ago precisely, and we were at the LSE, London School of Economics, and we finished from the same department as the Masters in Cities. So Bidemi, as an engineer and also as an urban planner, that we went through the same course at the London School of Economics, I felt it is important for me to come and support him. And for the fact that he even brought the program to my more like jurisdiction, I'm more obliged to support him. I bring warm greetings from my wife, Olori, the Oni Royal Council, and the good people of Iruland. I'd like to commend the organizers for hosting this two-day event, where experts and visionaries have come together to discuss innovative approaches to infrastructure development and urban planning. To start with, I've always been intrigued by the way the built environment is developed. I haven't been opportune to have served in the built environment as Honorable Commissioner for Housing for 4 years. And when you're considering built environment, you also must consider the infrastructure development that comes with it. I've always been an advocate of us to have a compact, concentrated city, which I'm not going to deviate from my own policy and from what I learned from school and from experience, that we cannot continue to sprawl. There's a need for us to have a very compact city like Lagos. Of course, Lagos is still sprawling, but if you consider the infrastructure that are in those peripheral zones, you see that the infrastructural deficit, be it national grid, be it other utilities, even water, reticulation, does not even get to all those peripheral zones, the sprawled areas. But with what we are here to do, what we have been doing here in the last 2 days, I believe we can create a very compact city using the tunneling system and underground system. Yes, the challenge is there. The challenges will continue to be there. But for us to be innovative, to plan future cities, we must, as a matter of urgency, listen to what is happening here today. And for me, as traditional ruler, the roles of traditional rulers, very, very germane. Who are the landowners? I remember when Lagos State when we were constructing the Blue Line, we had a lot of issues with the traditional rulers. But we were able to do the right stakeholder mapping. We had several engagements with the stakeholders, because nobody will want you to take their land for whatever usage. But for the efficiency of the Ministry of Physical Planning, Ministry of Works, Lamanta, Economic Planning, and the entire Executive Council, and even the legislators of the Lagos State government, we were able to engage, and we engaged properly. We had from Okokomaiko, Maitu, Orile, down to almost Ijora, where we had to do a lot of layouts. Otherwise, what we currently enjoy in the Blue Line would not have seen the light of the day. So the roles of traditional rulers has always been, let's engage and engage. Because whatever you bring, whatever form of development you bring or infrastructure you bring to our communities, we are going to be the steward. We will always communicate to our people. The number of jobs the Blue Line have created, whether directly or indirectly, you cannot overemphasize that. Consider, the last data we got is that 75,000 people commute every hour from Orile to Marina. Without the line, I don't know what Lagos would have been. But this population is still growing. Don't forget, Lagos population was 500,000 at some point. What's the population of Lagos State today? Over 20 million. And it's still growing. So, going back to what we have here today, it's important for us to be like other big cities. Some of us have been to London, some of us have been to Tokyo, some of us have been to all those developed economies where their cities are the drivers of their economy. Globally, cities are the drivers of economy. Without cities, there's no way you can compare New York City, Greater New York City, London, Greater London, or even Paris, with the level of infrastructure they have there, with other smaller towns that do not allow development to come in. So for us as traditional rulers, we will continue to do our best to ensure that we have the best of the best for the entire nation. So, from experience, I can also tell you collaborative effort between national and subnational government, very, very key. The Ministry of Works can tell you some of the road that we have here, SCC road, some of you, Lagos Concession Road, that is Lekki Epe Expressway. I remember when I actually wanted to start that road, we had issues. Don't forget that we had two parties then. They are say they're PDP, federal, APC or AD, state. For us to even get the approval to fix that road. Now look at that corridor. That corridor is the most expensive real estate corridor in Nigeria. But if the national government and subnational government, the traditional institutions, and local government have not collaborated together, honestly, I don't know what that place would have been today. And it's still growing. So, for me, collaboration, engagement of stakeholders is the way to go. With this system, underground tunneling and whatever we want to do for the overall infrastructural development, we must collaborate. Federal government is there. I'm happy that Bakare of the Federal Highway is also mentioned. If you do not collaborate, you are not going to get anywhere. We also remember what the situation was, what Babbage was then. You know what is there now, Ekwan Atlantic City. Ekwan Atlantic City is about 10 million square meters. It's a major engineering feat that had never been done in sub-Saharan Africa. But the state government and the federal government collaborated. Before we got that collaboration, it took us a long time, and we continue to add Ocean Surge. Some of you that are old enough then will know what that place was. But look at what that place has turned into. It's a major engineering feat, and it's a major real estate corridor. So for me, cities as living organisms and the need for resilience, like other major cities, we must be innovative. We must come up with the resilience of cities. Flood plains is what we have in Lagos. So if you really want to look at underground technology, you must, upscale the skill set of the engineers. So whatever we come up with at the end of this 2-day program, we should be able to let the Ministry of Works, State, Ministry of Physical Planning, Ministry of Federal Ministry, all the major stakeholders, they should know. And I'm happy with what Professor Lins, right? This said now that they are ready, they are willing to support us. And for us as traditional rulers, we will do our best to ensure that Lagos, our city, the only place we can call our own, continue to grow. Because it is only in those cities, big cities, that you find talent. And wherever you find talent, you definitely get development. You get development, you create jobs. People will come to Lagos, learn skill sets, and go back if they want to go back and develop their city. So the way Lagos State is doing and other big cities, that is the way we should all do. It's not possible for all the cities to grow at the same pace. But with this underground tunneling system, I believe the journey has just begun. And I believe so much in the innovative ability of this association, ITA. I'm very close to them. And I can assure you that whatever support they may require from we traditional rulers and other stakeholders within that I can facilitate, I'll always be there for them. That's it. I want to use this opportunity and conclude by saying that enjoy your day, listen to them, get the takeaways, the knowledge, the experience they share, go on with them, especially the young population that we have here, because we are not there yet. This is the beginning. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Can we pull the hands together one more time for him, please? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. He said something. It said, the journey has just begun. And it's very important to note that we are here to collaborate. And as Engineer Abidemi said, that if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And now, our royal father has said the journey has just begun. So it means that we have a responsibility to be together, to stay together, to bind together, so that we can go far together. Is that okay? Can you please tell your neighbor, I'd like to go far with you. Without you, I cannot go far. Tell your neighbor, don't leave me, and I will not leave you. Together, we shall conquer. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'd just like to do a little teaser a little teaser before we go to the next agenda, just to warm us up a little. Is that okay? Is that okay? Is it okay to warm you up? Okay. Because we've talked so much about Africa, I like us to play with cities and countries in Africa. The alphabet. Let's just do the alphabet game. It's just very simple to do. So we start from A. So you just mention a city or a country in Africa. Is that okay? Then we'll go to B. Just a little teaser before we go to the next one. Is that okay? Abidjan. Thank you. Accra. Angola. Addis Ababa. Algeria. Abuja. B. B is Aba. How can B be Aba? Okay. Pardon? Benin. Burkina Faso. Bagdul. Barbados. Barbados in Africa. I like your place in Africa. Barbados. I'd like to see you there. Botswana. Brazzaville. Thank you. Bauchi. Thank you. Thank you for coming home. C. Congo, Cape Verde. Cote d'Ivoire. Cameroon. Calabar. Chad. Like chai. Buddy. Casablanca. Thank you. D. Delta. Dakar. Djibouti. Wow. How did you know that? Dar es Salaam. Yes. Darfur. E. Ekiti. Thank you so much. Edo. Enugu. Egypt. Pardon? Eritrea. Ethiopia. F. F. Did he say Fufu? Fufu is not a place. Fautois. Thank you. Freetown. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. The last for this sector before we move to the next, G. You were waiting for me. Thank you so much. Can you put a sense together for yourselves? Gaborone. Wow. Can you see? I need to know that place, though. Okay. Thank you so much. Tell your neighbor you know places. And you will go places. But I will go with you. Because they said to go fast, you go alone. But to go far, we go together. And KBC also said the journey has just begun. Tell your neighbor, the journey has just begun. We cannot be left behind. We need to catch up with what's happening in the world. And KBC said something very profound. He talked about the now reclaimed Bar Beach. Used to be known for a lot of things. And today, it can be called the most expensive land in Africa. If I'm not exaggerating, I'm not exaggerating. So it talks about what technology can do, what development can do, what advancement can do, what innovation can do. It's just about somebody thinking, and that's what Engineer Abidemi is doing. He's thinking and he's carrying us along in his thoughts. Thank you for thinking. Thank you so much. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we would like to move to the next agenda, which will be to listen to remarks on opportunities in Nigeria. To do this will be the Global Lead Hydropower and Dams Global Solution World Bank Group. Please help me to welcome Mr. Prakin Karki. Thank you so much, sir. Please put this together for you.
Thank you. So the MC didn't come to N. I was going to say the most beautiful country in Africa is Nigeria, but bravo. So Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to be here. It's very impromptu. I made a quick journey from Abuja today. I would like to say that just in the context of underground and tunneling, I'd like to touch upon the major sectors that are impacted and are important for it. Nigeria is the most populous country and the largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa. Its population is over 200 million, and it has an estimated gross GDP of 477 billion in 2022. An estimated 80 million people in Nigeria face challenges, highlighting the urgent need for policy actions and sustained economic growth. Despite its potential, Nigeria faces significant challenges, and infrastructure is number one, and His Excellency alluded to that. It's interesting you alluded to cities, but I just came back from Farinrua in Nasarawa state, and the rural areas need the infrastructure even more, I think. That's my personal observation, if you like. And Farinrua, it was heartbreaking to see how a beautiful project has been stalled for the last 30 years. So there is a need to move the needle in Nigeria on infrastructure. I'd just like to mention briefly two sectors where tunneling and underground space is so important. I was asked by the World Bank to come to Nigeria to move the needle on water and energy, so I'll speak a little bit about that. While Nigeria is not a water-poor country, available resources per capita are declining and unevenly distributed. Nigeria's annual surface water resources are estimated at 375 billion cubic meters. The renewable groundwater resource potential is estimated at 156 billion cubic meter water per year. With a water scarcity index of 1,800 cubic meter per capita, Nigeria is not a water poor country for now, but we need to plan for the future. The resilient, devastating floods events, both in 2012 and 2022, suggest the need for urgent action to increase resilience. And this is where underground structure and tunnels will become so important. Nigeria is one of the 10 countries most vulnerable to climate change in the world. Without implementation of suitable risk mitigation measures, the reliability and quality of both ground and surface water will continue to deteriorate. In the face of climate change and variability, enhanced storage and multi-purpose dam help managers to store and allocate water resources for productive uses. Nigeria has a staggering 340 storage dams of all types, and there are lots of building blocks, and Nigeria has very rich tradition and experience of dams, even large dams as classified by the International Commission on Large Dams. The Federal Ministry of Power and the Federal Ministry of Water Resources play an important role in hydropower projects. But there is also an opportunity for better coordination. We need to have better institutional arrangement and strategies to streamline these initiatives. And this is where the World Bank stands. Besides Nigeria, we are on the ground to support Nigeria. Just like to say, briefly touch on the energy sector. Nigeria is one of the countries that has highest electricity access deficit. And the World Bank is currently working in different projects to help on this, improve the access to energy. Hydropower not only provides clean and cost-effective source of electricity, but also enables the integration of variable renewable energy. 1 megawatt of hydropower can integrate up to 5 megawatts of wind and solar, and Nigeria does have rich, untapped hydropower potential. We estimate that Nigeria has about 15,000 megawatts of economically, technically exploitable potential. Only 10% of this has been tapped. So there's a lot to do. Lastly, what I would like to say is it's really amazing, and congratulations for the ITA collaboration and workshop. The World Bank has been a very close observer to the activities of International Tunneling Association. I'd like to say that ITASET is a very important part of ITA to build capacity. So I would really encourage Nigeria to join the ITASET seminars that happen. They're free, they're on Zoom. Young people can learn a lot about tunneling. Under the Sustainable Power and Integration Irrigation Project for Nigeria that the World Bank is currently preparing, I will go from here and report to our management that tunneling be included in capacity building under that project. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Can we put those hands together one more time for him, please? As he goes to report to his management that he needs to be a part of what we are doing here. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Thank you, sir. Okay. I'd like to please welcome the next speaker. He shall be speaking about the journey and the strides taken so far for promoting and creating awareness on tunneling and underground space opportunities. He is the Honorable Vice President, International Commission on Large Dams, Nigeria Tunneling Association. Is a BOT member. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Engineer Imo Ekpo as he speaks. Please clap. Thank you.
Yeah, while we wait for is that already? Thank you very much. He says, His Royal Majesty, I'm very, very happy that you are here at such a short notice. And of course, my big colleague in the World Bank. Thank you so much, sir. He had barely 24 hours, less than 24 hours to do that presentation. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, this paper is just to recap what we have heard in the last 48 hours, more or less. And is to tell us that we'll be moving. One thing that excites me really is that while we formed this association in 2017, a year after that, that's when the African Continental Free Trade was also inaugurated in Kigali. So we are just moving virtually at the same pace. And we will not allow them to leave us alone. We shall work together with the after. Praise so much. Please, sir, go ahead. Well, the background is clear. That the Nigerian Tunneling Association has been registered, of course, with the Corporate Affairs Commission. So we are, by virtue of the registration, permitted to do the tunneling assignments in this country and to relate very well with the international community. And of course, there are other African country members that are also adopted into the ITA. Next slide. The NTA's idea is to set up a dedicated association to bridge the lack of awareness and knowledge of tunneling and underground space in Nigeria. One thing I've heard since yesterday is the fact that we need more awareness. I was happy that one of the students yesterday raised the fact that it is important that some aspect of tunneling be included in some of the curriculum. It will help us, and we'll see more of that in the course of this short presentation. The adoption of Nigeria as a member of ITA has positioned Nigeria to benefit from the global partnership with other 73 member nations in the areas of knowledge sharing, technology transfer, and endorsement of foreign direct investment. Next slide. Now, the MD has made mention of this very briefly, is to tell us where we were in 2017 and where we are now. And the bulk of this is basically to tell us that we have a 10-year strategic goals plan. We are not sitting down in one place, we are working together so that we can get to that destination. And if you can see all this, you find that between 2017, where we were just being inaugurated, by the time we are getting to 2020, we are now being able to reach out to other members. The delivery timelines extend from 2018 to 2027, and this will include engagement with the government and other policy framework, private sector engagements, and industry experts with an experience designed to meet the international standards. This will also include the initiation and development of research programs that will support the implementation of policy governance and all that. So this is one area that we are looking forward to. We want to make sure that in the next 10 years, where we are now, we'll take it to the next level. Next slide. The activities we have carried out so far. We met here, that was in Victoria Island in 2017. And the topic then, the theme was developing the tunneling and underground space industry in Nigeria. When we met that year, we were able to invite the Afe Babalola University. Do you remember? They were around. And I happened to have spoken with the proprietor of that school himself. And he said, look, if we can improve this issue, he will even include it in part of his program in Afe Babalola University, such that we start learning these things early in the day, not to learn it when we're advanced in age. So that is what happened in 2017. 2018, of course, we met in Abuja. And that was also a very interesting and exciting one with the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Transport. Thank God for Ambassador Ekpa. She is here. She was one of the arrowhead when we met in Abuja. 2019, of course, we also met, and that is my role in the development of underground space and tunneling business. So we are all there. Next slide, please. 2019, we met again, and that was also in Abuja. But in between then, we had opportunity of having some little workshops and visiting of some schools. The MD himself was able to get to University of Calabar to sensitize the people out there. And then, of course, the rest in 2021, we're able, like he said in his presentation, the COVID also affected us a bit. But we are not giving up. We are still pushing. Continue, sir. The next slide. Here we find, of course, we've been collaborating with the Federal Ministry of Transport. That's when they had a meeting and we joined with transport in Kano. And of course, the same thing happened also in Abuja in 2022. Next slide. Now, these are the institutions that we are collaborating with. The Afe Babalola University in Ekiti, University of Calabar, University of Port Harcourt in Rivers State, and then Federal University of Technology in Minna. Of course, I'm happy that some of UNILAG people, are we here? UNILAG, yes, some of them are here, thank God. Yes, so we are collaborating and we are pushing. Now, this is the other aspect which we are also working hand in hand with the British Tunneling Association. We don't want to work alone, we want to collaborate with others. Next slide. Now, there are some projects that they are very minor, but they are not very serious. But I want to focus on the road tunneling in some locations. I think the next one, go to the next slide. Go to the next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Yes. I want to concentrate more on this because in the Mambila project, we have 3 phases of tunnels that has to be installed, have to put in place. Starting from there are 3 dams. Go to the next slide, please. Next slide. Yes. There are 3 dams in the Mambila hydropower project. This is one project that is about 50 megawatts. It's a huge project for which 3 dams, you can see the 3 dams here, 2, 3, the and the Koi Dam, they're all linked up with tunnels. And the tunnels have different sizes. And the last one there at the other end there actually lands in the powerhouse, which is about 1,000 meter deep. And that will give us tremendous power from the Mambila hydropower project. Well, the project have not really started, but at least it is one of the milestone projects that will be executed by this country. It's a big project, and we hope that here, a lot of tunnel technology will be displayed in this project. Next slide. In conclusion, Nigeria has recently increased awareness and development of tunneling technology. This technology allows for optimal use of limited space in urban areas, and of course preserves a free space for parks, recreation areas, and commercial development. As Nigeria's population is growing, careful urban planning becomes inevitable and will contribute to promoting sustainable urban development. And the final thing I want to say here is the next slide. Investment in infrastructure is a long-term requirement for growth and a long-term factor that will make growth sustainable. Let me repeat that. Investment in infrastructure is a long-term requirement for growth and a long-term factor that will make growth sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Can we put his hands together one more time for him, please? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very exciting and beautiful day. And we have one more keynote before we move into the panel session to speak about the place of Kenya Tunneling Association in delivering competencies and fostering the use of underground space in Kenya. Will be from the Tunneling Association, Kenya. Please help me to welcome Engineer Vincent Rono. Please put his hands together for him, please.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm very much indeed extremely delighted to be here. I'll begin, of course, by recognizing our Royal Father, I think, and all to the members of NTA, all distinguished guests, and all the conference attendees. My name is Engineer Vincent Rono. I represent the Tunneling Association of Kenya. And I can say that we have walked this journey almost like twins with the Nigeria Tunneling Association. But the Nigerian Tunneling Association is our elder brother, so we are walking in footsteps. I know the MC talked that we should walk together, but I almost feel like we are walking one step after the other, and it's indeed inspiring. I'm absolutely delighted to have a friend in Abidemi, and so that I don't take too much time, that's just a little about me. I work for a government agency known as the Athi Water Works Development Agency. It's a Kenyan agency responsible for development of large water infrastructure. And so at present, I hold a role in operations. So we have a dam, but I worked in that dam because of a tunnel that they had there. So they brought me in during the construction of that tunnel. And then after that, because there was no active tunnel project, I continue as an operations role. But I'll speak more about it as we continue. So you can find me on LinkedIn through the name Vincent Rono. Please, next slide. So that's just an overview of the dam where I work at. On the leftmost is where I live, right above where we have a diversion tunnel. So almost to ensure that the tunnel we constructed is safe so that if anything happens, yes, I'm the first. So where you see a small tower there, above it there's a 400-meter long tunnel, so I live just above it. Next slide, please. So I'll speak just a little bit about the Tunneling Association of Kenya. Just as I was saying, we come right after the Nigeria Tunneling Association. We were founded in 2018 and registered under the Societies Act of Kenya. We have an active membership of 70 plus. It's really growing, mostly professionals and some interested students. And our main partnership is with my employing agency, which is the Athi Waterworks Development Agency. So again, also, just like the Nigeria Tunneling Association, we had one of our first events in 2018, which was facilitated by the ITASET. We were assimilated as a member nation in the ITA in 2019 in Naples, Italy. We had also another event in 2019, and also another one this year in March, which I want to highlight especially because it was for us to understand the state of legislation and the state of education in with regards to tunneling and underground space in Kenya, because we realized that before even us making strides to embrace this option in terms of large construction, we need to understand in Kenya what do we have, what competencies do we have, and what are the gaps, what will be between what we have and where we need to go. So understanding that was key, and Abidemi was also present in that particular event. And so one of the outcomes, I guess, that I can highlight from that is that when we realize that, fine, we're just not lacking in competencies because as we have the likes of Abidemi and many other African nationals who are out there doing great things in large projects in Europe and the Americas and the Asia, we need to consolidate this pool of knowledge so that if there is ever any of these large projects within Africa, we bring the minds that already are within ourselves to pioneer. But also, and one key thing that I want to mention that we should also embrace wholesomely is for every project, just as much as we have measurable and tangible outcomes in terms of construction, we should have measurable and tangible outcomes in terms of technology transfer, in terms of knowledge transfer, and in terms of training. So our role, or rather our ambition as the Tunneling Association of Kenya, is to infiltrate through policy and also through academia, and also for any specifications for any large project being considered, that the training and the capacity building of the local talent is a billable item, a billable, measurable, and tangible item, such that at the end of every project, it run just by the government as a client or even a PPP project, for it to be acceptable by us, we have to state categorically that, yes, as we construct any of these infrastructure, especially as we are here because of the underground space and tunneling, we need to have a section to state that we will only measure and also pay just as much for training and capacity building of local talent. So next slide, please. So just quickly to mention a few of the tunnels that we have in Kenya, I just wanted to you to see how there's a notable difference between one of the oldest ones, it's the Buxton Tunnel, which is in 1949. There's also a 12-kilometer long tunnel, which is where I worked first and developed my passion for tunneling in underground space, which is in central Kenya. It's for bulk water transfer. We have a 4.5-kilometer standard gauge tunnel, which is for rail transport. We have a 400-meter diversion tunnel at where I currently work now in the Karimenu Dam. Another 700-meter long diversion tunnel. So there are several other tunnels that we can note in Kenya, but they are little compared to the potential that is there. I would say these ones are infinitesimal to the space that we have underground. Next slide, please. So those are just some of the pictures. The top left is that Buxton Tunnel, and then the Northern Collector Tunnel are the two on the top right. There's the SGR, the Standard Gauge Railway Tunnel, on the bottom right, and the Northern Collector Tunnel on the bottom left. Next slide, please. So this is actually my second last, or almost my last slide. I just wanted to identify this. We have, yes, some projects, and maybe I can even, this is the SGR, and we also have like the expressway, but we've had, because as you know, Nairobi has a national park within the city itself. So for example, in this project, you can see that in all those many colors are the options of how to avoid disturbance in the national park, but none of them are a tunnel. So you can see it's about mindset. We can go through 7, 10 options many of our developers might present to our policymakers and decision makers, but sometimes the challenge is because of the mindset, the underground option is not being considered. So apart from the entrenching it in the projects, which is one of Kenya's, the Tunneling Association of Kenya's intention, we also want it to be entrenched in the minds of our people, our engineers, our decision makers, that going underground is a very viable option. Next slide, please. So that's it for me. I'll finish with a quick short story. So I hope she forgives me for this. My wife sends her greeting. I should have started with this. My wife sends her very warm greetings. And there's a small story about a tree that we planted about a year ago where we stay now. And we've not seen any growth from the tree. And we were really complaining, watering it and nurturing it. But so my father once came and just told us, what you'd expect from a tree is the roots grow first. And the roots have to grow far and to grow wide in order for the tree to then follow suit. So this is exactly what we are doing here in our collaborative efforts, in what the Nigerian Tunneling Association is doing. You are doing the strides that are required to prepare our cities for the immense surface growth. Without the proper preparation, just like a typical building where you need the right foundation. So we need the tunnels and the consideration of the underground for all forms of transportation and other uses that we might consider, such as, for example, the storage of nuclear waste. If we want to consider our exploration of nuclear energy, we have to think about where that waste will go. So we are delighted to be in this collaboration. We look forward to more support from the ITA, ITESET, and ITACAS, and we can't wait to have the International Tunneling Congress or conference to be held in Africa, hopefully in the next decade. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. Receive greetings also from the President of the Tunneling Association of Kenya. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can you put those hands together for him? With love all the way from Kenya. Love all the way from Kenya. Okay. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome the Air Vice Marshal, Kolade Ademuwagun, representing the Chief of Defense Staff as he gives a short speech. You're welcome, sir. Put this hands together for him, please.
His Royal Majesty, Oba Abdulwasiu Umagbolan Lawal, the Oniru of Ireland and his entourage, our chief host, distinguished guests, shall I say the future of this country, the students, the core members, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Air Vice Marshal A.K. Ademo Agun, representing the Chief of the Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa. I bring you the compliments of Defense Headquarters. Really, this is, of course, we are all aware of the significance of, shall I say, subterranean logistics network, which we discussed extensively this morning. But what is exciting is that, like the Igbos we say, is when you wake up, that is your morning. This nation is waking up, and from what we are seeing, the future cities will be in Africa, indeed sub-Saharan Africa. And conferences like this, they lay foundation for what the cities will look like. His Royal Majesty said it all. There's a significance between a sprawl city and a well-clustered city. And the fulcrum of cities like this are the subterranean logistics systems. I'm happy because when we plan, we secure a nation. A secured nation accommodates people. An accommodating nation is a safe place to live. On this note, I would like to thank all of you for putting this together, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir. It said when we plan, we secure. When we plan, we secure. And beyond the city, we secure a nation as well. So let's plan together. Is that okay? Tell your neighbor we will plan together. All right, thank you so much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is something that is worth deserving. For someone that has paid his dues, you listened to how long he's been a leader, not just today. Is somebody that we like to emulate, we would like to be like someday, and I'm so sure that the core members today and the students here present, look at him with so much like, how can we ever have the opportunity to meet with this man? And today you have the opportunity to be here in the same space. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to present an award to our royal father of the day will be the president of the NTA. Please welcome with me, Engineer Abidemi.
Thank you. So we, as part of the ceremony today, recognition is a big part of what we do, and as a very special guest and the father of the day, sir, we would like to present to you this token.
He deserves it. Deserves much more. But here we are with a sense of gratitude to say thank you, sir, for all you do. May you live long and do more for us. Thank you. Please take some minutes to just move around our network as we prepare for the next phase. Thank you. We are setting up for the panel now, so you can just move around quickly. Please, we are setting up for the panel now, so you can just take some seconds to just meet somebody new while we set up for the panel. Thank you. Yes, we are ready for this now. Okay, we are ready for this. Join, please. Sorry.
Sure.
The students, please. Sir, please. Yes, sir. Can you help me just now, please? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, sir.
Yes, please.
Did you meet in one when you were in the service? Sam in one.
I met him in the service. He was our CEO when I was in. Samewan, yes.
He's my direct colleague.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. 081 81 61 Corridor. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. You're leaving?
Yes, yes.
I thought you were going to be in the panel.
You know, when
Okay.
you look at the program given to us, they didn't give us the message.
Okay,
If
sir.
they did, we would have prepared.
Oh, wow.
That's one. Two, I'm just to
Okay.
come in, go back to Abuja.
Okay, okay.
Came here
So sorry. Can I get your number, please? Thank you, sir.
You can just call line.
Yes,
What's
thank you.
your name?
Victor Blank saying, Victor. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm please going to crave your indulgence to move forward, if you don't mind, please, for the sake of camera. Can we move forward, please, before we get into the session? Can we please move forward so the seats are not empty, please? Everybody, just move 2 steps or 3 steps forward, please, please, please. Let's fill up the empty seats, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. You can sit in front if you want to. If you can, you can. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can. You can just move forward. Thank you so much, sirs. Thank you. Thank you. Can I have some core members come and just fill the seats in front as well? Dear colleagues, this is the future, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. The president of NTA. Okay. So we shall be moving into the panel session. We have 2 panel sessions. So we shall be moving into the first one. Okay, so championing the session. Yes. Yes, yes. Members of the panelists for the first session will be, okay. The first person to be welcomed to the seats of the panelists will be the president himself of the Nigerian Tunneling Association, Engineer Abidemi, please, sir. You're welcome. Yes. Thank you. Can you put a hands together for him, please? Thank you. Thank you. Can we welcome to the session Mr. Lekon Oloniduwa. I'm sorry. Mr. Lekon, is he here, please? Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Can we welcome Dr. Antonia Ekba? Please put those hands together for Dr. Antonia, please. It's not easy to be a doctor, so better put those hands together if you want to be a doctor. Thank you so much. Thank you. Another doctor. Double doctor. Okay, we have Dr. Antonia, another doctor. Dr. Felicia Aguata, please. Is she here? Dr. Felicia. Okay. Dr. Felicia here? Okay. Okay. Can we welcome Mr. Taslim Salawuddin, please? Taslim Salawuddin. Okay, not here yet. Okay, so we will start while waiting for them to come.
So this is a kind of like discussion segment where we're going to be looking at awareness and competencies, the challenge of growing strategic awareness and full set of competencies which allows Africa to develop its underground space for its growth. So we've heard quite a bit cross section of messages and contributions. So we have a cross-section of professional inclination and representation on this panel. We have Lekon Oloniduwa, who is the young members coordinator for the Nigerian Tunneling Association and also Nigeria's representative at the ITA, the International Tunneling Association, for the young members. So he coordinates everything that has to do with young professionals. And we also have Dr. Antonia Ekpa, an ambassador, previous ambassador, and also permanent secretary as well, and my humble self. So Engineer Vince Rono is supposed to be on this panel. Yes. And of course, we have Engineer Vince Rono from the Tunneling Association, Kenya. All right, so we're going to be looking at the key challenges we have from an awareness point of view. Within the context of Africa, our challenges are very peculiar. And Madam, I would like to, I would like to come to you first. Your experience in public service over the years, what would you say, and I remember when we first approached you about the concept of underground space use, with your experience from an awareness and competency point, what do we need to look at for a potential acceleration of this process?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure indeed to be here, and there's no how I could have missed this. I've been with Tunneling Association of Nigeria, now Nigerian Tunneling Association, for quite a while, and was also instrumental to the Ministry of Transportation accepting them and working with them. Challenges. Let me, first of all, start from what I've heard spoken this morning by various speakers. Principally is the lack of awareness of tunneling as an alternative land transport, and an effective one, and perhaps even less risky than the road itself. And as you well know, Nigeria's transportation, about 90% from our own analysis, is on road. And it's just very recently that we have veered to rail transportation, which isn't even enough or available for all our population, as many as we are in the country. But government is trying. There is a total lack of understanding, first, by the policymakers. In fact, Mr. Abidemi did say that it is now part of our national transportation policy to consider tunneling as a component of transportation. And while I was in the Ministry of Transportation as a director of road transportation and mass transit administration, it was one of the things we were pushing to ensure that it got into the federal government's policy program and strategic plan for transportation development and urban planning and development for the country. There hasn't been some understanding of tunneling. And shockingly also, for me, very recently, I'm sorry I have to be this frank, and that also makes me glad and really grateful that the representative of the Minister of Works is here. I hope he's still here with us. Oh, he had to leave. I actually had to go personally to see the minister. Letters were sent, but somehow tunneling. So when he got to me, I went to see the minister one-on-one and got his commitment to be here. Unfortunately, this program was also fixed along with another program the same day, and ours came later than his. And he was kind and generous enough to give me a director who cannot come personally because he's sitting in for the permanent secretary who has gone. There's a transportation or works council going on right now. So these top people can be here. But the officer that came is a director also in the ministry. There isn't, and this is shocking for me, there isn't an understanding even at that level of what tunneling can do for the country as an alternative source. But as Engineer Ipo has said, we have had to deploy tunnels in our water transportation, especially in the large dam sector. Unfortunately, I was also a director in water, Minister of Water and Water, Federal Minister of Water Resources, yes. And in the power sector, where I was also a director, we have some effort in that regard. But as has been noted this morning, the challenge is that it is not in the curriculum of our engineering sector, and that is a major challenge. So the youths have asked for more integration of tunneling as a component of their training, and this is something that can be taken up with the administration. But you see, NTA itself has to make the effort to sensitize about. I was we have a corridor, that very long corridor that links the Federal Capital Territory to another state, Nasarawa State, and in fact, this is just one straight road called Nyanya Maraba, and takes you to Kefi, and we have ample land by the right-hand side, in fact, both ends of the road, that we could deploy tunnels, and save Nigerians the complications of tortuous congestion. I had to carry out a research, a postgraduate research recently, which I had submitted, on the challenge of corridor access and congestion on that corridor. And it both in the analysis, the interviews with people, and more especially workers who majority of them live outside the city center and have to commute to work from Kefi and Maraba and Nyanya they spend as much as 4 hours coming to work and another 4 hours going to work. So you come to work, you say hello, and you go back. But what we actually need is tunneling. We tried, while I was a director on road transport, in transportation, to see if we could utilize what Lamata is doing, to have some access through bus transit, bus mass transit, that was green option or climate change accessible and compliant on that corridor. But everything fails. But what we've seen, and it is the lack of understanding of the managers of both not even the transport sector, of the works sector, or the engineering and construction sector. There is so much dependence on road as the master for all users in Nigeria. So you now see that a lot of money is spent, hundreds, am I saying 100 billions of naira on road construction. And because of the population and usage of these roads, they don't last. But I believe, having seen the video shown this morning and all the conversations that have gone on here, that if you had a tunnel as an alternative or substitute above these roads, you will have less traffic on them, and it will lessen the crash that we have or crashes rather, that we have most constantly on our roads. And then, of course, the issue of congestion. Lagos State is a primary candidate and will make a grade 1 in congestion when you go around the city. But the government in Lagos is also trying. And I'm happy that Lagos is well represented by my sister, and Minister of Works by my sister here, and of course the Kabesi that just left us and was here and spoke so brilliantly on the essence of having tunnels as a component of a mode of transportation in Nigeria. There is need for sensitization. Communication is what you require. People don't know. And I'm glad, sir, from the World Bank that you are interested. I think much more effort from the World Bank, and even sensitization and training by the World Bank, like you have already suggested. And I'm also glad that my friend and brother for many years, who was a colleague also in Minister of Water Resources, is here and working with you. So let's see how you can engage more with the public sector on the use of this. And of course, the intervention from the private sector is relevant. I'm very certain that they don't even know. Many of Nigerians and non-transport or non-engineers are not familiar with what tunnels are, and there is need for that. We have seen what tunnels have done. It's so glaring to me, and I get interested once I see and hear that you have tunnels being used as access, even in the ongoing war. Look at the value of tunnels for the positive and negative. But we can even use tunnels to transit to markets by people. Non-motorized transportation. Somebody spoke about going by foot in London. I think it was the same director, going by foot in London from southern London to western London or something. So most of our people can go, non-motorized transportation, pedestrians can go under the earth and save the road. Our roads in Nigeria are made for cars, not for people, unfortunately. And we have done a lot of study on validated, looked at what the roads look like and how they are constructed. And I must tell you, I'm not personally happy, based on my exposure and experience, that our roads are not made for people. They are made for cars. Because roads that are made for people should have adequate room for pedestrians and people on wheelchairs and children and women and pregnant people and all manner of persons, especially those who are unfortunately physically incapacitated. But we don't have these in Nigerian roads. So I am always very upset because I've been exposed to urban planning and city roads management. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Antonia. I'm going to go very quickly now to Olalekan Oloninua. You were involved in the coordination of the young, young members. So there was an inaugural Think Deep campaign that was had a couple of months back, and it spanned over 6 months. You coordinated that session. In a very short brief, I would, what were the benefits and the highlight of that experience for you as someone whose journey into tunneling underground space started, I think, was it about 4 years ago when you contacted me on Twitter? So just a brief background. So he wanted to write his thesis or his master's research on tunneling, and he contacted me on Twitter to ask for assistance. So we basically started a journey of mentor-mentee, from then, and invited me to Unilag, got his colleagues together. Sorry, UI, not Unilag, University of Ibadan. I traveled down there to give a very short lecture then, and since then he's and he coordinated the inaugural Think Deep campaign we had, which was basically for university final year students and young professionals to identify challenges in cities and then profile solutions with the intervention of underground space use. But we had to go through a process of mentoring every one of them. Do you want to highlight from your perspective what that did for you and what more we can do to empower young professionals?
Thank you very much, Mr. Abidemi. The journey started in 2019 when I contacted Mr. Abidemi. I was a student of the University of Ibadan. I was running my my master's degree program in engineering geology. My BSc was in geology, so I specialized in engineering geology. And I would like to start from, throughout my stay in UI, or throughout the course of my study, we taught a lot in engineering geology. We deal with structures and big structures, foundation and the likes, EIA and the likes. What emphasis on tunneling was quite discuss construction of dams, constructions of landfills, these and several other projects, but we did not really talk about tunneling. And I was considering, okay, can I do something on tunneling? I just went online and I saw that we already have an association, the Nigerian Tunneling Association, and the president was Mr. Abidemi. So I felt, okay, let me ask him if there's any projects going on where I can just get data from and maybe work on it. So I spoke with my supervisor and we're trying to work on that. But the problem I had was time was not on my side. and that was how we could not do that. But that was how the relationship between myself and Mr. Bidemi started. And one of the things I've noticed is in our schools, like someone pointed out yesterday, that we should try and infuse tunneling into our curriculum. Some of our academics, I mean the lecturers, are not really aware of tunneling or the importance of tunneling and the exploration of underground, of the underground. One of the key points from the program we ran between last year and this year, the Think Deep competition, was that I noticed that several young people are interested and passionate about it. Aside that, in fact, they were able to go as far as looking at several other options. Because if I ask most people here now, what comes to your mind when you talk about underground? You just say tunneling. And tunneling in the sense that we can link places together by constructing the road under the ground. But there's more to underground space than just construction of roads. So the young participants in that program started giving us ideas that, what about underground farming? I remember several years ago, I was arguing with someone. The person was telling me that, because the argument was, without sunlight, you can't plant. That was I said, yeah, without sunlight, you can't. I said, no, you can have artificial light as long as you have air and water. The plant to grow. And we can have those facilities under the ground, introduce lights, allow ventilation here, and put water in there. The plants will grow. So we can have smart cities where you can plant crops under the ground. And these crops will be available all year round. What about our waste disposal system? We can have underground waste collection system. So we can eliminate the movement of trucks on the road, all those smelling and all those things that we have to cope with on the surface of the road. We can also control flood water through tunnelings. Honestly speaking, most of these things I'm saying now, I learned it from the essays that these people wrote, because I read through almost all the essays that they wrote, and I was enlightened, I learned a lot. So there's much more to tunneling and underground space. People are not really aware. You can build resilient cities, not just smart cities. Cities that can respond to changes in the environment, changing climate condition, cities that can respond even to earthquakes and natural disasters. For example, the smart tunnel in Malaysia, it's for road transportation. Cars go under the ground. But during rainy season, when there's flooding, that tunnel itself can serve as a what? Flood collection, can reduce the flood on the surface, and flood water goes into the tunnel. So there's so much more to tunneling than just road transportation. And Lagos is ripe for it. We keep emphasizing that. And I'm glad that it's coming to Lagos. Because Lagos has been stretched. The surface has been overstretched. I work as an engineering geologist, and we do foundation tests. People have left because we don't have good dry lands anymore. So we've left the dry lands. There are no dry lands again. People are not developing the wetlands. We are sand filling the wetlands, and we are building on the wetlands. So we are expanding Lagos. And the more we expand Lagos, the more we need to expand the facilities, transportation facilities, wastewater facilities, even refuse collection facilities. We can't continue to build bridges, honestly speaking. The more bridges you build, the more you deface the surface. And it's high time we begin to think deep. So for me, one of the major highlights is the fact that we have young people who are ready and passionate. Like I was 4 years ago, I was really interested. I just wanted data. Where can I get data from? I just need a project that was ongoing. And we have several people who are interested. In this place, I met with some people and they told me they are urban and regional planning students from Federal University of Technology, Mina. So we have people who are in diverse disciplines and are ready to incorporate underground space development and tunneling in their various fields. They are just hungry for support. The knowledge is there, the potential is there. We just need the support that we can get. Thank you. Let me stop.
Thank you, Olalekan, for that. And, sincerely, it's a key strategy of ours at the Nigerian Tunneling Association. So you've heard about our strategic plan, 10-year strategic plan, and we are employing a bottom-up, top-down approach. So top-down in that we're relating with decision makers, federal ministries, the federal parastatals, and state parastatals as well. But at the same time, we're also employing the bottom-up approach where we are building future resilience, from the students, the academia, supporting them, empowering them with the right information to have a futuristic view of what the cities should look like in the next 20 years. After all, who's going to be inhabiting the cities in the next 20 to 30 years? They are the ones, and they should have a say in what the cities should look like. I'll be moving now to the context of Africa. We're talking AFTA. Kenya is a signatory to AFTA, and Tunneling Association Kenya is a member nation of the International Tunneling Underground Space Association. I remember the very first time I met you when Tunneling Association Kenya was inaugurated in 2018 in Nairobi. We always talk about the peculiar challenges we have in driving, the concept of underground space use from a continental point of view, and to back up what we're trying to say. So a survey was carried out by the ITA in so the latest survey is 2022. Africa accounts for just under 2% of the global tunneling and underground space market. So China, I think, accounts for just under 50%. India accounts for a significant amount, Turkey, but then you have significant development in Europe. Europe is pretty much plateaued, so development is flat. Other continents are in decline. But Africa accounts for just under 2%. I said just because when you correlate that to the needs that we have on the continent, the rapid urbanization that we have on the continent, the economic disparities that we have, shouldn't that suggest that Africa should actually be on the upward trend? So I'll come back to you, Engineer Vince. What do you think needs to happen, from your context in Kenya and from a continental point of view, for us to be able to optimize, the economic drive that is being implemented by the African Union for tunneling underground space?
Okay. So thank you. It's a broad question, and I've also been pondering while my other distinguished panelists have been speaking, and I think for us to realize this dream that we have, one of the things we also need to be conscious of is we are short on time. We are very short on time. If we speak about, empowering the education systems in anticipation of the development that we are speaking of for the underground, we need to approach it in a way that we can save as most time as possible. So, not to suggest an overhaul of education system, but now before we talk about the working environment, I'd speak about education in that for now, what we need more than what you call distinct university lengthy courses on these specialized items, we would rather have the on-demand and well-compressed sort of trainings for specialized works, be it not just in underground construction and the likes, cut across. I'll give a story. When I joined university, I studied civil engineering, and one of the first lectures they give is that engineering was just engineering at first. You would do everything. Then it was split to military and civil engineering. And then civil engineering split to other disciplines like electrical, mechanical. So assuming that we broaden the thought such that we empower to a standard maybe level, and just as even ITASET and the ITA are offering, have specific tailor-made trainings for particular outcomes, assuming we have planned that this is the strategy for our country, if it is to do in line with after, if it is to do with large dams and what, the education can be tailored, maybe like the way even it's done in Asia, to train just enough students for the basics, and then have tailor-made trainings even to the niche, which, for example, internally you'd have the TBM operator. TBM operator can have his specialized training for that matter. But anyway, speaking of, that's the longer plan. But for what we have now, I'm glad to see a lot of young people here, and also understanding that the resources are there. The resources are there to be attained through Etaset. Even there's a lot of resources I noticed that are free of charge or at very low cost from Indian sources. I don't know if you have encountered that as well. India are very generous with their knowledge, and their standards don't differ so much from what we do. But to your question, that aspect of us tapping into the on-demand trainings, tapping into the technology craze that is there. I'll speak briefly about the augmented reality, because you see, yesterday when I asked a question about to Dr. What's her name? Dr. Elena? Yeah. Most of the expected training does not come especially from universities, from experience. Fine, we do not have all these projects that would give you the direct experience, but we have technology. Technology, you can have artificial reality, and you can engage with actual constructed project or simulated project to give you an understanding of what the design means, what to consider in terms of risks, what to consider about the underground space and what you'll encounter. So our two aspects, our one aspect is to consider the little time we have and to agglomerate all the sort of resources we have so that they can be directed to those who are ready, in line with our plans for implementing large and mega projects.
Thank you very much. You touched on a very interesting point at the end there. One of the members of this panel session would have been Mr. Taslim Salahuddin, but unfortunately he was scheduled to fly in from Abuja 6 a.m. this morning, but the flight this morning was then shifted to 12 or 1 o'clock, so he's not able to make it anymore. But he would have spoken to your point on digitalization of the subterranean in Africa, which is something that is being looked at currently. I know a lot of people might ask that question, that what is there to be digitized? We don't have anything. We do. We have a lot of redundant resources below ground that we do not really understand the economic value that we are missing out on. You know, so there are a lot of opportunities that can be leveraged on when you have data that is just wasting, but data that can inform decision making. So we might have that opportunity in another session. But I would like to thank everyone on this panel. Madam, do you have any final remarks that you want to give before we move on to the next panel? Okay. Thank you very much. Can you give them a round of applause? So for the next panel session, we will call on Dr. Emilio Linda Harris to please come up. Dr. Emilio is a managing engineer with Exponent. Exponent is a company based in the UK, and they are into construction arbitration, and he's an expert engineer, but not just that, he looks at, anyways, I'll allow him to introduce himself a little bit more. I would like to also, I'm not sure if Professor Taibat Lansin is here. Okay. I would like Mr. Olashile Ganikale to also join us on stage. And I don't know if Mr. Kelechi Ekugo is here. All right. So I'll just allow Emilio, you first, if you just give a quick introduction of yourself, and then Mr. Olashile, you follow up with that.
So, yeah, back on the day I was a young geologist. I was working in tunnels, doing phase maps, and seeing all the problems that you can have during the construction of tunnels. That's where I met Avi during the construction of Crossrail, the latest underground line in London, and that's how I got an interest in the tunnel industry, and especially in the type of problems that we can have during tunneling. Now I work as a let's call it expert, advising on disputes, and try to solve or understand what is the cause of problems in tunnels when they happen.
Thank you, Dr. Emilio. Please kindly introduce yourself as well.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Olashile Gamikale. I'm a manager in Deal Advisory Infrastructure Unit at KPMG Nigeria. At the infrastructure unit to support private sector and government on PPP infrastructure. That cuts across energy, gas to power, cuts across transportation, cuts across healthcare as well. Of course, not a lot of depth in tunneling, but PPP infrastructure around transport, rail infrastructure, as you're all aware. KPMG also supported Lamata with regards to the Blue Line Light Rail Network. So, not a lot of depth in tunneling. Of course, as we all know, tunneling is almost like at this nascent stage in Nigeria. But there's a connect to the transport infrastructure there. So, that's in a nutshell what I do at KPMG.
Thank you very much. So this session is a bankability institutional framework. So we're looking at policy gaps financing and required institutional framework for integrating the use of underground space into strategic development of cities in Africa. I'll come to you, Mr. Olashile, from your experience in terms of financing. Obviously, maybe not from a tunneling and underground spaces, but generally, what key things do we need to look at, when we mention the word bankability? So, with regards to what do we need to be looking at from a tunneling underground space, and what gaps do we need to plug for us to ensure that our propositions are bankable?
Okay, I would. It's a very broad question that you've asked around bankability. The whole bankability also sort of applies to all infrastructure projects. As we all know, generally, these infrastructure projects sometimes could be very huge that government itself cannot finance it alone, and they have to look for a private sector to collaborate with to then develop it on multiple PPP structures. It can be BOT, it can be DBF, OT, all sorts of PPP structures that they have. But looking at the infrastructure project that was supported on, one of the key bankability issues that comes out that has always been very problematic to solve is the area of guarantee. How does the investor ensure that their money or their investment are easily recoupable within a framework of a reasonable risk? So bankability, fundability. For me, that has been, it's almost like that's always stalled. Issues around, can you get, are you able to generate revenue? All sort of technical and financial feasibility that have been done can deal with all of that, right? For instance, in the case of the Blue Line Light Rail, So one of the things they want to first ensure is, okay, is there traffic? What is the ridership? What is the traffic count? And it was very clear, it was very obvious that there's actually ridership. So whoever comes in, to manage or maintain the rolling stock would generate money. All those ones are typically easily solvable when you have a team of technical financial advisors that helps you with the feasibility. But I mean, the investors that are trying to come and do this deal, they are also on the back raising financing from banks. Banks, private equity are the most risk-averse institution in the world that I know. They'll be looking for how are they even hedge from the highest risk perspective to say, okay, if anything goes, anything happens to this deal or it fails, how am I still going to get my money? Which is what birthed the question around bankability. Guarantee, right? So, and it's always been a challenge. Deals have failed because the government is saying, I'm not going to provide guarantee. And the PPP infrastructure provider or the investor is saying, I'm not going to move as well. So for me, I think what we need to do, I mean, it's guarantee, right? What we need to do is government need to take a step back around what is really guaranteed. But what we notice as well, when we interact with private sector and government is once government hear about guarantee, they just shy away from it, right? I think it's already obvious that government can't finance a lot of these huge infrastructure projects only. So they have to take a step back to say, what are we really providing guarantee for? Instead of saying you just want to shy away generally once you hear investors saying, give me a guarantee. So we always have to unpack it, right? Sometimes we also hear comments around, we don't have maybe a state policy that allows a state to be able to provide guarantee. All of that, we hear all those comments, and I know one or two states who are now coming up to say, let us create laws, let us create policy that then allows us to also to be able to provide guarantee. Those initiatives are coming up from the policy perspective. Like I said, guarantee has to be unpacked. I'm not going to provide guarantee for you for a broader issue like, for instance, COVID. So, for instance, COVID happens and sort of affected demand. Nobody's going to come and say they want to maybe use a rail or something because everybody's at home. So, from a reasonability perspective, as government, I'm not going to sort of provide that kind of guarantee because it's almost like an act of God. It happens, right? So, if I provide guarantee for the fact that I'm the one failing, maybe that's somewhat reasonable, right? Instead of just saying you want to shy away completely from guarantee. So I think from time to time, we just always have to take a step back and try to unpack what am I really providing guarantee for. And ultimately, investors and government can find themselves in the middle ground to get a deal out of it.
So thank you very much. So I would just say there has to be a kind of like willingness. There has to be some willingness to come to a compromise between stakeholders and parties. Thank you very much for enlightening us on that. Dr. Emilio, I would like to come to you now. I don't know if, in terms of the risk that potentially you would have to substantiate or appreciate when putting together a project, from a contractual point of view. One of the key projects we looked at yesterday during the workshop was the Lagos-Abidjan Superhighway, and we looked at the value proposition that tunneling and underground space use was going to bring to the overall outcome of that project. What would you say, of course the context is different, in terms of Africa, we need to look at when we are trying to mitigate risk from the onset, from a kind of like contractual point of view, and, just to make sure that we're simplifying the process as much as possible to ensure that if there's anything like a win-win on both sides, it makes the process a lot easy.
Yeah, following up on bankability, banks, they don't like risk and they also like certainty. And the nature of tunneling is uncertain because sometimes even if you have the time or the budget available, it's difficult to do all the ground investigation that should be required. So answering to your question, the first thing is to be honest about the risks you are facing in any given project. Because sometimes I see that both developers and contractors, they are optimistic at the outset, thinking that everything is going to be okay. You know, you need to prepare for the worst instead of hoping for the best. That is something that usually happens in the tunneling industry. So the first thing should be to have like a clear list, honest list of risks, and then starting to address them from the outset, or at least prepare some mitigation measures if the risks appear during the excavation of the tunnel. But yeah, for me the main thing is that everybody working in the feasibility of a project understands that there could be problems, and everybody should be prepared to mitigate this risk and also be willing to pay for them.
Thank you very much. Were you going to? Okay. Can I say something? Absolutely.
So on the bankability, when we talk about bankability, I think we need to talk about risk sharing. So how are the risks shared so that the guarantees that you are to provide can be properly looked at? And just coming to International Tunneling Association, ITA has provided guidance to FIDIC in developing a new set of contracts called the FIDIC Emerald Book, which looks at risk sharing in underground works. And it's being now used quite widely, they're starting to use it. So I think these contract management types are very important in terms of risk sharing, bankability, etc. Cost and time overruns, that's the killer in tunnel projects underground space. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that contribution. I think one of the last questions we're going to touch on, or last comment, I was going to invite Dr. Antonia back very briefly. If you don't mind, madam. We wanted you to just speak to the institutional requirements. So countries have interfaced with, have employed different approach to enabling integration of underground space use in the strategic master plans of their city. So they have a body that liaises with several multiple organizations. So to understand how an integration of the process can happen. And for countries that haven't done that, they're trying to do that now by aggregating all the database of all the assets from the utility companies, the water utility companies, the power companies, the transportation companies, trying to get everyone under one roof. We have an opportunity to develop that in a way. How, is this something we can look at from an institutional point of view, and can you speak to this, please?
I'll do that very briefly. Incidentally, interestingly, we have someone from Chartered Institute for Transportation and Logistics here. We also have a representative of the African Center for Supply Chain, okay, and Chartered Institute for Sayota, was supposed to also have been here, but they got a very late invitation. Now, what we found, because our government, and when I say government, institutions of government, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Transportation, haven't coalesced effectively over time. So that has some impact on how you can even develop a thought over issues as interesting as this. So what government has done, at least in the last administration, is to pull together the respective stakeholders, private sector, public sector, institutions, technical and professional institutions, which I have two of them here at the very top level present, to talk a lot more on subject matter such as this. And then on the issue of data gathering or pulling together, government is also doing that. And if you note, the present administration has disaggregated the transportation sector altogether, which hitherto was mostly bound. In the last administration, aviation was taken out of transportation. And now you even have within transportation itself, road transportation is standing alone, maritime is alone, and then you also have rail. Then you also have aviation and all of this pulled, and marine all separated. And the purpose of that is to ensure that there is focus on each of these segments, so that the technology that is required and funding for each of the units would be more directly monitored, and that the project implementation, project analysis, and all that is required, especially for technical projects like yours, or like ours now, like tunneling, would be better coordinated and financed. Because before, I was in transportation as Director of Road Transport and Mass Transit when the rail sector was going on. And I would say the budget of road was taken into rail. And there was nobody asking any questions. And wherever they saw money, when there was need, they would pull from here and there. So it was a bit disorganized. That was my observation. So now that you have these distinct content separated, you are now going to see, I envisage in the next 4 years, by the time this government goes, given its passion for the sector, that you will have adequate data. That is why I was just discussing with my friend behind, who is has been given the mandate, or he's blessed, to review for Lagos State its master plan, right? I think you may also want to talk with him later. Lagos master plan. So I was telling him, you have an opportunity now to integrate in that master plan, to integrate in that master plan a content on tunneling, which was what we drove when we were preparing the National Transport Policy. I was actually on top of it for road transportation or land transportation. So I insisted that we had to put tunneling in the document, which is there now, and all the challenges associated with it and what government can do. So we see Nigeria coming up in the next 4 years with the support of the World Bank and other institutions and ITA and passionate people like yourself and my friends. I just met him now, and everybody here really. The drive is there. And as I discussed with you, the media is very useful. And you see that the Nigerian media drives projects. If people have interest in a particular sector, the media takes that interest. So you have already begun something. But in Abuja, where the money is and where the thinking is and where the policy makers are, National Assembly is, we also have to have a presence in the National Assembly, more focused and a lot more interested in what is going on here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam, for that input. Engineer, you're going to
just a comment. I'm happy that this forum is progressing the way it is progressing. And Ambassador Ikpa just made mention of the issue of policy. And this is the time for which what she started and what we are following up with Haruna. This is Haruna in the Ministry of Transport. Mohammed, sorry. This is the time because the last meeting we submitted a memo in Abuja. Yes. No, not NSC. NTC. Exactly. So they just wanted us that they will adjust the memo and move it further. If it is moved further, all the issues she's talking about now should be incorporated into that memo. And then we'll be able to put tunneling in its proper perspective. Besides that, I listened to His Royal Majesty who left a short while ago. He talked about the issue of the fact that the traditional rulers, of course, we know they are very important. So this is the time for us to also reach out to others. Because if you look at the 7 major cities in Nigeria, for which we need to drive this thing more, especially Abuja, Port Harcourt, Lagos, Ibadan, Kano. If you can move these few states properly on this, the scope of what we are doing. I like the comment by the Kenyan friend who spoke, the fact that already the seed have been sown and they are developing enough roots. The next thing is for it to grow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Ekpo, for that contribution. So we will be running up, but I just wanted to acknowledge Professor Taibat Lawansin from the University of Lagos. Thank you, Madam. I know you had things that hindered you from joining the panel because we were supposed to be on this panel. I wanted to, I don't want to put you on the spot. So, if you have any from the academia point of view, of course, we've just hosted our inaugural conference in the university, but from the academia point of view and from your background as the urban planner, I remember the first time I met you physically at the World Urban Forum in Abu Dhabi. What I said to you then was, Madam, this is what I do. But I remember what you said then, if you remember, you said, oh, you would introduce me to your colleagues in the engineering space. I don't know if you remember what I said. I said, no, it's you I actually want to speak to. And the reason I said that was because every time we think about tunneling and underground space, we think it's just engineering. It's more than engineering. There's a wide spectrum of impact. So, Madam, if you just give us like a little brief, I know we've been interacting directly or indirectly in the last couple of years. If you just please give my mic to make a contribution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I actually thought I was on a panel for 2:45. Yeah, that's what the email said, but that's fine. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. And yes, I recall that at the point, we had our initial engagement, the thinking was, yes, it's an engineering issue. And over the years, I think you have, your passion and determination has really caused us to continue to reflect about how opportune, the idea of tunneling is in an environment like ours, But speaking as a town planner, and a town planner who is operating in a system that is quote unquote dysfunctional, particularly because the government doesn't give due recognition to the profession of town planning and its importance in national life, which has cost many of our cities to be operating in a system that is below par, that is suboptimal, simply because town planning is not given the pride of place. Now, where does tunneling come in? Tunneling comes in as an opportunity to perhaps take back a bit of the power and then perhaps plan the future better. But it comes with a lot of risks because of what is happening on the ground. We have, take for example Lagos, where a flood-prone city, right? We're quite vulnerable to flooding. And we also, because we are unable to service our infrastructure the way it ought to be, we now find a lot of self-provisioning of infrastructure. So people are building, are drilling boreholes where they please, wastewater is being done on an ad hoc individual household basis and all of that. When you layer it on with tunneling, it then becomes a risk. If we're going to borrow underground, those of us on the ground, on top, are we just not going to collapse? And that's where the idea of institutionalization comes in. That's where the idea of planning reforms comes in. And that's where the idea of futuristic planning comes in. And I'm very happy that it was mentioned that tunneling has made its way into the draft transportation policy. We hope that when the policies are being translated into plans and programs, that will be taken into consideration and it will be planned for. The other thing I would like to say is that the idea of tunneling, if we look back, perhaps to the example of London, which many of us are familiar with, the tunnels have been there for centuries, yeah? And they have served multiple purposes over time. In other spaces, tunnels are also there for security reasons, particularly in wartime. And so perhaps there is a need for us to have a broader thinking of the opportunities that there are for us now that we haven't started. What are the opportunities for us to develop this underground infrastructure that will be done in a sustainable way, that will serve us and our generations to come? That's the first thing. The second one is, how can it be done in a way that it serves multiple uses, not just transportation? And then the third one will be, how can we make sure that the way it's done, it is not done at a risk to the fragile infrastructure that already exists? And while I was reading yesterday, regarding coming here today, something that really, really struck me is the fact that a lot of geology, geotechnical expertise is required, and most of those who have that requirement in Nigeria today are servicing the oil industry. So what happens? Perhaps maybe that's why you have the young people here, so that they're thinking about the profession, in a different direction. But then how do we get people to start to shift focus from, some of the ways that they're practicing their profession or some of the interests that such professions are leaning towards this futuristic endeavor that I say is possible, but will take a lot of work. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much for that, and you've rightly said it. And I think, speaking to the last point you made there, from the student's perspective, is we've identified this, and it's all about shaping the thinking paradigms and then enabling, equipping them with the information to be able to explore, and a lot of your concerns and points that you mentioned around the vulnerability of the cities are things that would have to approach together as professionals. So we champion, so the Nigerian Tunneling Association is a multidisciplinary body. We are open, I remember the very first promo we did, we actually mentioned lawyers were open to, to professionals in the legal space, economists, earth sciences, in the built environment, planners, and excuse me. The reason is primarily because we want to have an holistic view, as you mentioned, from the onset, and for us to be able to leverage on the mistakes that developed countries have made. So someone asked me about the London Underground. I've been been involved in critical projects in the UK for over 13 years now, and I remember there's a part of the northern bank of the Thames that is so congested underground that you're boring a 8-meter diameter within 300 millimeters of another tunnel. Now that shows you how tight it is, so the level of accuracy that is required to actually do these things sometimes are mind-boggling. It shows you how congested some elements, some part of the underground is there. And then I've been asked the question, they've planned their underground space, but no, they've learned that they've actually made a lot of mistake over the years. They haven't actually optimized the planning of the underground. What they are doing now is they are actually trying to retrospectively capture the assets they have underground so they can future-proof them more. So China has done the same, almost doing the same thing, because they've accelerated their own development, but also with some of the pitfalls that are experienced in developed countries. And we have an opportunity now to address a lot of those issues. We have an opportunity to take into consideration the environmental vulnerabilities we have now, identifying the functionalities that we require for our cities to be the cities that we want them to be. Collectively, as professionals, come together, address those issues, and then ensure that we have cities in the future that will be very habitable, more habitable for us all. So I was just passing on interesting information to her. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I don't know at this point, does anyone on the panel have any last words?
Yeah, well, more than last words, I have a question for anyone else. Do you think the PPP funding have a role in developing this type of projects and other projects in Nigeria? Private, because for example, in some parts of the Western world, they start to have like a bad reputation, but I think there is an opportunity to develop these new projects with PPP, with a PPP approach. Okay.
So we'll take one more final comments from the audience. Is there any? All right, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to say one or two words on this discussion. I think I agree with Professor Tybert, is it? Tybert, that we need to carefully consider what we want to use the tunneling for, to avoid the pitfalls that have been already initiated. I worked on the London Underground, on a number of projects on London Underground. I was a safety controller on the London Underground project between Stratford, East London, and King's Cross, Central London. And I also worked on the underground that connects France with England. I was also safety controller on that project. I think it's a good move in the first place to begin to think of how to exploit the potentials of the underground Of course, in London, are exploiting both underground, surface, and overground, as the case may be. So it's not a bad idea if we begin to think about it. And as Ambassador Antonio has already said, I'm already part of the team reviewing Lagos Master Plan. I think that's a good place to start. The PPP is, we're jumping the gun. We need to lay a good foundation with respect to the laws on how you do it right, then set the right policies. Then begin to look for a mix of how do you fund. PPP comes later on when you begin to talk about funding. How do we fund these projects? But I think it's important that we drive this both to local assembly and national assembly, so it becomes that the ground rules are set on how we can exploit our underground space. Otherwise, we're heading for the same errors, if not a worse errors than you have already enumerated. I think that's where I want to pause. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And finally, I want one of the the youth corpers to just give a minute, kind of like highlight of, I know you guys were here during the workshop yesterday. I'm not sure if it's if there was anyone here, same set of people, but if just a contribution from your team. Is there anyone that wants to say something? You guys are camera shy. Okay, all right. Sorry?
Yeah, my name is Sebastian Ozamalo Chinedu. Sorry I came late because of some other engagements. I'm the national chairman of Nigerian Institution of Geotechnical Engineers. And I think there is room for us to have more collaboration because we are also doing something, even in terms of training of our engineers, especially as regards to underground space. Personally, I'm doing my PhD on tunneling, and I know what I'm facing and a lot of things. So, in terms of even the people who are supervising you and all that. So, it's like do it on your own, so to say. So you can imagine. So I think there is room for us to have a lot of collaboration on this. We are doing something on our own as a division of NSE, also doing something with Koren, trying to actually formulate some few things, especially on codes and standards, so that we don't just do it as other people just bore the ground and then do things anyhow. So we want to get it right and get it right firsthand. So I believe we will still talk more and then we'll see how we can have areas of collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that contribution. I did not recognize you because on your profile you looked slightly different. So thank you very much for that and for that contribution. And definitely we are very
We'll be working with them.
Interested to push.
Professor, Engineer Anyeji.
No. Professor Jezia.
Yes, but it was initiated by Anyeji.
So I think you finally decided you want to say something. Okay, fantastic. So that will be the very last comment before we then have like a 5 minutes. We have some awards to present and then the vote of thanks before we go for our lunch. Everybody is welcome to have the lunch.
Thank you so much, Mr. BTV. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah. So I have a list of questions I would like to ask, but I'm just going to summarize.
No, just one, please. We want to know your background. What's your discipline, your background, and just one question, please.
Okay, I'll be coming from the aspect of an investor.
Okay.
And we've talked about the risk that are actually involved. But mostly what I've been hearing here is just road tunneling. We didn't say anything about water tunneling. Or does it encompass everything together? Aside from that, the location, ground testing, and lifespan of these tunnels, are they being considered as well? Thank you.
So thank you for that. So we try to emphasize the wide spectrum of application of tunneling. As a matter of fact, I can't remember who it was. It was Lekon that mentioned in the first panel session that you would think that tunneling is only related to road tunnels, but the essay that the students wrote during our inaugural Think Dig program highlighted the wide spectrum. So we just tasked them to go and read. We give them access to documents, information from the ITA, from different bodies, and just get creative with thinking about the wide spectrum of functionalities that we can have. So some of them talked about, flood, sewage management. Some of them talked about underground farming. Some of them talked about AVAC system, that is pneumatic approach for waste management. They were crazy ideas, as in, and that's what we want. We want you to be able to exercise your freedom and the liberty you have in your mind to profile innovative solutions for the cities. Of course, we would then provide guidelines eventually on how this can then be done in a safe and realistic, in a more realistic and operational way. So, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to take any more questions because we need to move now. Every good thing comes to an end. So I think what we're going to do now, Mr. MC, is that we're going to just present that. Well, and thank you very much to our members of the panel as well.
Please, can you put us in together for the panelists for both the first session and the second one? Put us in together for them, please. Thank you so much. While we wait for them to clear up the chairs and tables, the DJ will just play us the light music, just to warm us up. Okay. Thank you so much. Sarah, that did not want to ask questions, now said she had many questions. It just reminds me of, our mothers. I don't want to talk, don't let me talk. But by the time she's done talking, I don't want to beat you. Don't let me beat you. But by the time she's done beating you, if you love our women, can you put us together for them, please? Doctor said stop that. It means doctor does it too. Okay, let's just clear up. Thank you. I think you need to get some guys to help with this one. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Can I show you something? Let's do a little exercise. Can you please stand if you don't mind? I just want to show you something. You need to stretch your bodies before we do the awards. Can you please stand? I want to show you a little exercise. DJ, please play. Please, can you stand? We want to stretch our bodies. Is that okay? Is it okay to stretch our bodies? Sarah is smiling. Okay, I'm going to show you how to spell coconut with your body. Coconut with your body. Just a little exercise. Is that okay? Are you tired already? Please stand. Let's do this together. To spell coconut with your bodies. This is it. Just to stretch your bodies. That's how to stretch your bodies. Coconut. Let's spell coconut with our bodies. 1, 2, 3, go. One more coconut. One more. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do you feel your body stretched now? Do you feel so? Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. We shall be going into the award presentation and recognition. And after that, we shall go for lunch. So please help me to welcome once again, Engineer Abidemi for the award presentation. The DJ will play some music while we do that. DJ, please play.
So I'm going to present the... No, I don't. So we're going to use it. We're going to be... So we had the inaugural Think Deep competition, and I'm going to be presenting the winners and the runners-up prizes for this competition. So just a quick background. The competition was held over a period of 6 months. We had 150 students register for this across 15 universities, the 15 universities. Man-hour contact time, virtually, we spent, I think, over 30 to 35 hours contact time. And the students had 2 months to put together an essay. Sincerely, the standards of some of these essays were mind-blowing. And we had a panel of judges across the ITA Committee on Underground Space Use, from the ITA Committee on Education and Training, and of course from the Nigerian Tunneling Association. So today we're going to be presenting the prizes to the runners-up and to the winners. For the runners-up, I'm going to call on Team Brainy Sykes.
Can we put this hands together for them, please? They're all winners, amazing people. Took some time to put this together. Today we celebrate them. DJ, please.
So I would just like you to say 30 seconds. Who's going to talk? Sorry? Okay, 30 seconds on what your essay was about. 30 seconds, please.
Good day, everyone. My name is Faith, and with me is Kola, my partner. And the title of our essay was The Chipmunk Project, which was like we got the inspiration from, the Alvin and the Chipmunks, the popular animation. And yes, the essay was about solving a problem in Ilorin City. And the problem we highlighted was waste management, using the AVAC system, using pneumatic tubes underground to like suck out and sort out waste, and also using the recycle, reduce, and reuse system too. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will, if you want, we can share their essays with you there, and they were fantastically written as well. And on the basis of that, we would like to, in partnership with ERA as well. So I'd like to, Engineer Lola was a key person in facilitating. In fact, she was the link to the students. I didn't have any link to the students. I approached her, and all of a sudden we had 150 students. So congratulations, team Brainy Psyche. So they've won 500,000 naira between themselves.
500,000, ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of money. Can you please put us together for them? DJ, please. $500,000, $500,000, 0.5 million. So much money. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
So we're going to be presenting for the winning team. So the winning team is Team Royalty. That is Ekanem and Abigail.
Team Royalty, Ekanem and Abigail. Well done, well done.
Just to also add, so as part of the winning proposal, they were going to join the Nigerian Tunneling Association team to the World Tunneling Congress in Athens. Hold on. They couldn't make it. Number one, because of the schedule of the program, and number two, we had restricted visa constraints at the time. But we then eventually got one of the winners to join the ITA Committee on Underground Space team to an exploratory site tour in Switzerland, the Agerberg Gallery, which is known for carrying out one-on-one scale testing for underground development globally. It's basically one of the front-running labs in the world for underground development. Abigail represented the team on this case. Ekanem couldn't join this time. So on the basis of their achievements, I would like to, so who's going to speak? Both of you? No, who's going to speak? Okay, so you have 30 seconds to just highlight what the challenge was and what you proposed.
Okay, thank you very much. Firstly, I want to thank Dr. Mrs. Lola. She was really a great inspiration to us, and I got to know about Roga Think Deep through her. I'm from the civil engineering background, but I didn't have any idea about what tunneling was all about. And throughout the 6 months process, we got to know that we could do a lot going underground, and underground space use is something that we need to buy into it. We identify a challenge in Calabar, which is sewage management and the flooding problem in Calabar Metropolis. And we just thought about the idea of solving it by seeing how we could put this system together and convert the waste into energy, that's biomass that can be distributed, and also get clean water from that system. So that's basically what we did. And also I learned a lot going to Switzerland. It was actually my first time traveling in an aeroplane. Yeah, so I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I'm very grateful to ITA. And I believe in the future we'll have more ideas coming up from the young professionals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So on the basis of the hard work that Ekanem and Abigail put together, they will be winning ₦1 million between both of them.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So,
₦1 million. Make some noise. Shoot. Please, can you stand for them? Can you give a stand? DJ, stand up for the champion. ₦1 million. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is awesome. This is beautiful, laudable, commendable. We salute you guys. Keep the fire burning. Don't stop. Don't quit. Keep flying. Thank you. Thank you so much. You deserve it. You deserve this. You deserve this. Thank you.
So I'm going to invite Engineer Ekwo and Dr. Antonia to help in the presentation of plaques too. We're going to be, everyone is important. I'm just going to highlight that, but we would just like to just present those that have taken time out to be here with us today to just a token to say thank you for coming.
Okay, all right. Kelechi.
Mr. Kelechi Ekugo.
Ekugo, okay.
And I will also ask Mr. Kelechi was supposed to be on the panel.
Okay.
Because we've moved the time a little bit, which affected as well.
Okay.
He would like to also give a short remark while he
receives this.
A short remark.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Kelechi Ekugo is my name. I'm Senior Country Director to the U.S.-Nigeria Business Council. I mean, it's an honor to be here and to be recognized. I sincerely apologize. Conflicting schedules. I've been sitting on other panels on other investment promotion-related events, and it's going all the way through to the evening. And this evening, I'll be hosting the CBN governor, actually. But in any case, critical infrastructure is one of our biggest concerns in Nigeria, and I think coming up with, the aspects of promoting tunneling as part of our critical infrastructure solution is coming at a timely time. I know that financing, having worked in public sector for the last 14 years, I've come to understand to some extent how critical infrastructure should and appropriately be financed and structured. In my time in Ministry of Finance, we were privileged to have incorporated the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, you know, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, which has $3 billion assets under management. It's owned by the Federation of Nigeria, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and is designed to catalyze critical infrastructure investment. The NSIA has been instrumental to the likes of the Lagos-Ibadan Express, the Second Niger Bridge, and other critical investments, you know. So it will be good that, you know, we start to associate with those kinds of entities. I know you're doing some projects in Lagos State. I'm sure there needs to be more exposure, you know, looking at the metropolitan aspects of the federation, you know, Abuja, Port Harcourt, who knows, but I can see why Lagos makes a lot of sense. And, you know, there are a lot of development institutions, the likes of Afrexim, AFDB, IFC, you know, these transactions can be syndicated. Infrastructure is a long-term financing play. It's not a short-term investment class, you know. And this is what I'm doing on the side of investment promotion between the US and Nigeria to catalyze US investments and, you know, see how we syndicate with Nigerian corporations and all of that. So we'll be more than happy to continue to lend my support to the Nigerian Tunneling Association and see how we can think of ideas. You know, now Lagos is doing metro rail lines, you know, so there's a lot to be done, really, you know. Thank you very much. Truly honored.
So I would like to present this to Engineer Moepo. He was almost going to present it to himself.
Yes, you deserve it, sir.
Thank you very much. This award is going to Pravin Kaki of the World Bank. Congratulations, sir. Thank you, sir. Taibat.
Professor Taibat.
Congratulations, man.
No, she should be in the middle, actually.
Okay, in the middle. Take this out.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma.
Alban. This other one is going. This award is going to Dr. Alban Igwe. Is he here? Okay, yes. Congratulations.
Can you put his hands together for him, please, as he walks towards the stage to get his award? Put his hands together for him, please. Thank you.
Yeah, come to the middle.
Congratulations. I had no idea. Okay, thank you.
You have done very marvelous work. You have worked a lot.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, you talk about it. Someone would collect on his
Okay,
behalf.
yeah. Any representative for the Minister of Works? Engineer David Umahi. Is there anyone there? Okay, if he's not here, we'll take it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Come. Let me give it. Okay, come on. Come, sir.
Mr. World Bank.
Yes, come.
Yes.
Yes. We want you to give it to. Yes. Oh.
So Dr. Antonia Ekpa.
It's a surprise, actually. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just put it on a chair.
This one is to
Architect Sheun Ogunleye.
Gule.
Not announcing it in the mic.
Okay, Architect Sheun Ogunleye.
Just stay in the middle and take a picture.
So what's
Thank you. Mashile
Gani Kale.
Mr. Olashile Gani Kale. If you don't mind.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put the hands together for Olashile as he comes for his award. Please clap so that somebody can clap for you too. Thank you.
This way. Okay. Next one. Thank you.
Engineer Vince Rono.
Engineer Vincent,
Okay, the guy from Kenya.
congratulations.
Congratulations to Kenya.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations. Okay.
To you. Okay, we are giving to Engineer Dr. Lola Adetona. All right.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Engineer Dr. Felicia Agubata.
Engineer Dr. Felicia. Well done.
I will have called her.
Yeah. Okay. Touch you too.
You're not looking.
Thank you, Madam.
Architect David Maje Kodumi. David Maje Kodumi.
Somebody connect on. Okay. Picture, yeah. Okay, let's take the last. Dr. Olufemi.
Dr. Olufemi Hamzat. Okay.
Is anybody here representing Dr.
She can take it. Lady from Works. The Ministry of Works.
From the Ministry of Works.
You don't have anything.
Otherwise, we wanted to thank them.
Let them check.
She's a very good observation.
He gave us the list, so we'll just check.
Be them,
So we can go see.
Thank you so much for the support. Thank you. And can clap hands for us, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have officially come to the end of today's event. But before you go for lunch, I'd just like you to move up to, just meet somebody, 3 or 4 people, just meet somebody new. Just meet somebody new. Ask them what's their name and what they do. We want to connect for the next 5 minutes. Can we connect? Is that okay? Can we do some connection? Is that okay? Can we do some networking? Is that okay? Okay, so walk up to somebody and ask them what their name is, what they do for a living, how can we partner together, just for a few minutes before we go for lunch. There's going to be a vote of thanks. There's going to be a vote of thanks before we leave, so. Okay, thank you so much. So before you go for lunch, okay, DJ, thank you. Can we have engineer? Okay, to give vote of thanks. Yes, sir. Please, can we sit? Can we sit for the vote of thanks?
All right. All protocols duly observed. We'd like to thank representatives of various ministries and organizations, speakers, distinguished guests, esteemed participants. As we draw curtains on this remarkable event, I am optimistic that we are steadily moving towards breaking ground with regards to tunneling and underground space development in our country. I prepared a slightly longer speech, but I'm forced to close. So I'll just say in closing, I want to appreciate everyone in the room, and I'd like to congratulate you, because history will remember you as an important partner and advocate in our attempts to advance the urban environment in our communities, so that we can foster growth and development and let the connections forged here be the foundation for a future where underground spaces not only shapes infrastructure, but also cultivates a legacy of progress and harmony for our people. So I wish everyone safe travels, and may this engagement spark real progress that will illuminate a bright path towards actualizing our desire for urban development in our dear nation. Thank you, and until we meet again on this exciting journey on our underground space. Thank you very much.
Okay, can we please observe the national anthem as we close out? DJ. Oh, the pledge. The pledge. Can we please stand as we observe the pledge? Can we please stand? Wherever you are, please, could you just hold on? Please, please, let's observe the pledge together. Sir, please, can you stand? One, sirs, please, the national pledge. 1, 2, 3, no, the pledge. 1, 2, 3, go. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to deserve the job with all my strength, to present our unity, and uphold our honor and glory. So help me God. Thank you so much for coming. Please, let's go for lunch. The lunch canteen closes by 3:30, so we just have 30 minutes to do this quickly.